Getting on YouTube.
Dolo dongore chibi zha no bara chibi ge tarwa dong tam chi chenbe war tu ju bara chiba tam chi je tu chibi ma nam ka dong nyambi sim chen tam chi dewa dong den dung ar dong chi Nyor tu la na mi ba yang ta pa re do be chang chu ren bo chi to ba chai da la dang wa re chi be zha no ba ra chi be ge dar ba dang tam chi chen be fa tu ju ba ra chi ba tam chi ji zu chi be ma nam ka dang nyam be sem chen tam chi de wa dang den dung ra dang chi Nyordu lana mi bara yang ta bara zobe chancho renpo che to bara cha.
All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment.
Ye chi du san ma ji ji va du lung a yi suan ge va la gu ma shi va du lung a yi ge va la gu tu te ren ne sung de nye ma san ta zam ji va du lung a yi suan ge va la gu.
For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue.
야, 오케이. 되네. 다 가서 양 답이 추주 세트린도. 어떤 양 답이 추주더라. 담보더라. 다 레줌리라 이치반의 안보. 타메게 양 답이 다와 인스 안보 타마 봐. 이다 당가라서 안보 참마라 다와 도되는 말와샤. 근데 그 레줌리시 저 이치 야 케침보레스. 다 디펜티브 동아상 디펜티브 대화녀야 임바데 다 요마고 바레 디펜송고 그 공체나 간나 상태에서 와다 karbola karbo dribi deva ta nakola nakon dribi dongar se megela megen dribi dongar tjuya res watne te endu tena so ye che gos luchen ta kere na na karba ja ya chu mezas so shen ta la wa dribi ni mi ba jo so do de le ja ba se luchen so le sa ha so na karba ja so na la ro ya yo ma res so tu la ha na dribi mi hon res 我这种这样对我来说，在北京可能那是军队体系起要开进步的，他们是军队肯定路要不多有嘛，那天一切起要开进步，这是所以说还可能在东西多那军队你当时工钱拿出来过来，在东西多上你来军队差异成嘛，在还可能就是啊，天对国军队上一种红呀，我真的有啥的，他那个马上说一切听的，我真的来军队这种这种情况要开进步的这种路。
So, I continue with the 10 perfect dharmas. The first one, trusting in the consequences of karmic deeds is the perfect view for a person of lesser capacity. So, to begin with, it's important for us to trust in karma because we are not all of the highest capacity, meaning that most of us have not realized the nature of reality. And so at this point, it's extremely important to really believe in karma and understand karma. And that is to understand that it is unfailing, that virtue will always lead to happiness and non-virtue will always lead to suffering. The result of our actions is precisely corresponding to the cause. And Jiten Sumgen had said in the Gong Shake that so there's this the quote that now if the seed is white, that the result will be white, and if the seed is black, the result will be black. So the result will always correspond to the cause. It's important for us to trust in that in the beginning. And then in a sutra called the Prajnaparamita in 100 verses, it says that even if 100 aeons, the karma accumulated will still not disappear, will never just disappear. It will be there ready to ripen whenever the time is right. When the time is right, it will ripen. And so therefore, for us, since we have not truly realized the nature of the mind, we have to pay attention to the karma. Of course, when one has realized the nature of the mind, it is then one actually sees the nature of karma. In the Gong Jigosho, it says actually that's a sign of realizing emptiness. When one realizes emptiness, one will then see the subtle workings of karma precisely. And so for us right now, it's most important from where we are at that we trust in karma.
전에 다니바데 지나초나 참치 나와 당동바 나와 당동바 리파 당동바 리파 당동 나와 동바 리파 당동바 송교체 도바는 왕보는 랭크 양 타베 다바 인종도 사세세세 라쇼다 다바데 준비 예치비 강라 전에 다바데 왕보 랭크 다바데 지나초 참치 다 지당세를 라오라 지티말라르베 카르송 지나와 치다 나와다 马托村呢，村上的预计先把今晚去，预计先把今晚，爸爸那么秋可能是，爸爸那么秋可能是，遇到身边超市下的是，我的也遇到身边超市下的种多，遇到我身边超市下的个那种，我天天听到一，咱那话，俺说对人那话都，他连把trouble的人，他所有的人，那他那话什么，让一马着把他到，那同人民，谁把他当把人民，谁同人民。 我的谁同意没谁话是东把也没吧？他先个过上生活，我那是人块是那的谁话是都是也没吧？东把也没吧？对吧？咱对吧？用了这从也没吧？这些他是没有其实，我知道说啥的这从也没吧？我这绿，我这绿的多那这两不人去，让他的大把的种多的，我这里是有一些多呢。
Then number 2. Realizing all outer and inner phenomena to be the fourfold unity of appearance and emptiness, and awareness and emptiness is the perfect view for the person of medium capacity. So, Milarepa said that to ordinary beings, all appearances appear as truly existing things. And the fixation to the true existence of our perceptions is what ties us down. But to those who have realized their nature, whatever appears arises as the Dharmakaya. And for them, all appearances, all perceptions of forms and objects all appear as an enhancement to the practice. So for us, we see, when we look at things, when we perceive something, we hold things to be true, to exist the way we see them, but they actually do not exist that way. And so how they exist is explained here. So these four unions are what they are, or what the nature of the mind is, a union of appearance and emptiness, of awareness and emptiness, of clarity and emptiness, and bliss and emptiness. And so when one realizes that, one is an individual of a medium capacity.
我他听就在他这里头，大家大家多话中也没把多吧，那安保拉就大把人送多，但是那安保拉大把这样他被大把这看的是那大家去有些这没把，其大家缺乏的，多会去多把的缺乏，但多多也是，没事，他没把这缺乏的说多会去娘娘去了，大家有他大把钱看，大把钱看，看多把缺乏，总看别缺少，那去哪去下呢？ 去验去吧这个嘛，但后去别那马里有了马里个马些呢，马里吧这样有嘛吧，我这那一去他也把没把多吧，这安不着大把人是，大家大家多话堂，通家通为鱼，比什么也没把多少。拉面呢，但罗记就 mix 没吧，但那路多少那个拉面，上那么拉一步路个吧，那路那边个加上呢，往这边去吧。我真这边呢，他特别些，那路那边跟俺家们去从那，他就这那路我是确实，他让这边人呢，有些卡些特别要嘛吧。我这边就特别也没吧，多吧真的。那我大家有什么让一嘛着，当天让一嘛着吧。他对吧？这了。都会上马在让一嘛都中间，但那路可能在为讲从那样的，对的。我当时我说朝鲜看个嘛，那种说，老一球的弄的同嘛同是老一球这边我真的在弄的那路同多头个嘛的，有的话现在都老一球跟弄的同嘛，这边球前面啥么的，我这边前面啥么，弄的前面同。多呢，让先自球这个结果说是让先自己呢，这个结果说是我他头脑没下过来。我听说拿多少，这我等嘛着吧，多吧，这那真的养他的，对吧？这是确实的，
The third verse, realizing the viewer, the viewed, and the realization are inseparable, is the perfect view for the person of highest capacity. So this means that the thing that is viewed, then the one that views it, mind that views it, and then the realization of that, all of that is not three separate things. They're just like water mixed with water, or would say butter mixed with butter. So the viewer, the viewed, the viewer, and the seeing, and the path, the traveler, and the traveling, and the result, the one who attains the result, and the attaining, all of these actually of one single nature. And so the result and the one who attains the result being one means that there is no separate result that is waiting somewhere else, that there exists somewhere else separate from us. And so if one truly recognizes that the object that one views has no inherent nature, no intrinsic nature on its own, and it's the same for the viewer, and the realization, the seeing of that, all of that has no inherent existence, and then one realizes this indivisible nature. In the Ganges Mahamudra, it says, that which lies beyond the intellect cannot be seen through the intellect, and the effortless cannot be reached through deliberate effort, and therefore rest your awareness in its natural state nakedly, so as it is. So that view is the view of one of higher capacity.
我真的他没法再见了，那把那安保他那去养他被公把因思，我他这看老小中，那他打工就说的，真的安保那他安保他那个公把那可是真的，他别想着现在公民的，我他说他不看做人别现在的公民过，他现在的是公民，别瞧电线的，现在他现在电线的知道。他可惜他在都那种新的没块钱的公家节有了吧？我他最近那在比刚那前面都他前面重启，他都他现在这种啊是今年这一点对，真的对是来那个那种的，我他来了我去，然后那我块错当样的我怎么当，他说对是来那个哇，他说他穷那那边样的上街滚的我在留下上街滚在样没块钱呢，想骗他妈人吧下吧，真的我没块这一点的吧，他现在说点不说这边的去呢，他安不他没打吧的意思。那他刚刚说他不现在的什么呢？真的真当中让我听到吧，对自家的客户来，现在民当中弄可能慢慢的那一种去了，对公民他说他公民呢，我这里有他不现在这里是那个，还是那个那从那帮忙不在出红呢？ 근데 디 남포 어때 진짜 챔베 존루트 마당 와지 근데 진짜 고메세가 쇼로 그 연이로 어때 근데 신에디 시스템은 진짜 챔바데 시유렌 좀特别 this is 어떻게 놓고 살아
So then number 4, remaining one-pointedly concentrated on the object of focus is the perfect meditation for the person of lesser capacity. So that is about first cultivating a state of shamatha, of calm abiding. So first we need to have a state of shamatha. For example, we practice shamatha with a support. And some people use a small piece of rock, a stone, or a piece of wood, focal object, and then they focus just on that. It is said that since we're familiar with these ordinary objects, it's easier for the mind to focus on that without distraction. Other people also use their breath, just focusing on the breath. It is also an easier, natural method. If you want to take it further, you can also take a Buddha image and focus on that. So whatever it is that you focus on, you should stay there without distraction, not allowing the mind to wander. And so that ability is the conduct, the practice of one of the lesser is a foundational practice. And so we need that to have that in the beginning. If we don't have shamatha, then it will be difficult for us to move on to vipassana, or the insight to the nature of the mind. Because it is said that meditation that lacks the stability of shamatha is like a fire flame in the wind. And so in the beginning, there are too many thoughts in our mind. We are not diligent enough. And so if we are not diligent enough, and if the mind cannot stay still, then we will just lose our meditation. And so that is why we first have to train the mind in shamatha so we can stay still, without distraction for an extended period of time.
이바 다티 요테 암보 카레 암보 렌스다 바레바 암보 렌스다 바테레 코몬토 안 송교 키다 송세 통 송교 대통 송교 라서 와다 송교 키 캬나 네데레이나 근데 암보 렌스야 타베다 바레스다 데스 나통 예르미바 다리 통 예르미바 제통 예르미바 대통 예르미베 딩겐지 네디나 근데 다 딩겐지 네산 다 대통 예르미스 뜻도 텐야자 소보데 샘 네로 나 냐면 다치 샤디나 들레사 대통 예르미나다 제통 예르미바 그 마행 바지 징모 다 징화的고발라 소토 아 쇼마 소 센네로가 지면나다 제통일 메서나 리통일 메서나 다 틀리 차로 효사래 근데 대가 다 되는 게 중요하 와트엔 사리 아 가좀 그런 거지 데 레비드 마세 제 요즘에 레비드 티조 제나 페요리 손데 티나 하려서 내가 메이크 유트 나와나 지난 노치 뭐포 탐치 군스 지난 노치 뭐포 탐치 군스 나야 당지 메베 나라 샤스 나야 다 당지 다지 좀 마스 당지 마지와 다 남포 샘 디바 쇼스는 내가 야 타다 반 로그 말와 나야 당지 메베 나라 샤스 송지 타파 제통 하 이거我的手机塔把从对真的这种还有个类似，我这这种上现在还是的，那个那边有查办那是，那个那边有查办那是，年趟每年这边涨呢，不是年趟每年他这边涨呢，公司年趟每年这边查从39这边讲了小，但查从39这边讲了小，是查从这个这边这边种说，查从这个这边这边种一种我但这边没有的。다 샘 내로 가라 냠내 치시다는 다 대통령 미선하다 대통령 미선 대통령 미선 티키 냠내들 라기고 내도 셔사리 다제 내가 또 거의 다 대통령 미선 대바제 고지리 삼세야로 대통령 미선 대바는 가면 들 잠만 안 포준도 돼 근데 그 양다바스 범세 내 셔사 말이 당하라 샘 내로 가라 제 야된 라기고 대마인 바치 디나네린다 또 라기고 다 대통령 미선 대바 라기 장치 소자 동바티가 내린 대바 장치 쇼바 어떨라다 대통령 미선 배차한 틀은데 인사리 배제
In the next verse, number 5. Remaining in the samadhi of the fourfold unity is the perfect meditation for the person of medium capacity. Now for the practice of one of middling capacity. So this meditation, the samadhi of the fourfold unity is those four unities we just mentioned before. Appearance and emptiness, awareness, emptiness, clarity, emptiness, and bliss and emptiness. And so then for one of middling capacity, they simply rest within that state of unity, resting the mind without falling into the faults of mental agitation or dullness. And so the mind just stays there loosely and undistracted. And that then becomes the samadhi of these four unions, divisibilities. And the Guru Rinpoche said in the 7 chapters application, when the eye perceives an object, an appearance, let appearances be as they are without grasping at them. Appearances left alone are the deity's form. And when sound is perceived, then do not grasp at sound. Do not grasp at the outer the perception of sound, but let sound be as it may. And then sound is seen as the deity's speech or the mantra. And so now when we said that this is how all the Buddhas had perceived when things appear. And so it means that just rest in the natural state of mind without any grasping. So natural here also means this natural state of awareness, empty awareness or empty bliss. So that also means that there's no deliberate effort. So people always wonder about this state of awareness and emptiness, or clarity and emptiness, and they want to experience that. They think I need this bliss and emptiness. But then that's just another thought in the mind. And the true meditation is actually lost in these thoughts. So when you just rest without grasping, without distraction, then this inseparability of bliss or awareness and emptiness, it will just be experienced on its own. It will just reveal itself on its own.
dine datare da gumji nyamne som yelmi to megbala memegba ngala nebane ambora ke yang tabe daba yin datare ambogo diba datare ngot som bana yite tenura jigba sa ambora kombane sta gumja je tang gumkhen sia de kang gumji wa ti som bo nyamne som ka yelmi ba ta je to som le ta ambora ke yang tabe daba yin sta ngo je so da zo te so nyam nyom ta ne lo dabe nga jang go shu sa de temeanze che tazze parcate gomia asera kahi andoni gomia ma se mi bachi so da zo dan da won re sempre nero na jane tenya me chi hare o te se sempre nero se ta ma yin bachi ta zo nga zo ta ba yin do te nero ga jang to mara o te ndu ta ma yin bachi do te ne te ne ta nyam na jong go she de ta ta chen ho nian be chen xie cu si se wa ta chen ho nian bo chi ta zhen che cha na na bo ma bo yong do ba 安陆切长的对啊，我能跑先把对你姑娘让我他在啊先别研究个的，我在成都人不在可能这些处先别啊对，先别那路提个那你们去跟他在那安啥的，他怎么在公家公司先没把去，我在那他安不着，打完安啥的。
Then number 6. Remaining in the state of non-focus in which the meditator, the object meditated upon, and the meditation itself are inseparable is the perfect meditation for the person of high capacity. And so the meditation for one of the highest capacity, or the view of one of the highest capacity, is similar to what we mentioned before, is to rest in that state of knowing that the object to be meditated upon, the one who meditates and the act of meditation, all of that is of one essence. And that is something that we have to experience directly, personally. And so for that, we have to sustain a state of practice, a state of the natural state. So sometimes people try to just have meditation on emptiness. And it may seem like the actual similar to the nature of the mind, but then really it's not the authentic state of meditation. So the point here is resting undistracted in the natural state of the mind without kind of drifting into distraction, without doing anything to the mind. And that state must be not too loose and not too tight. If it is too tight, then the thoughts will scatter everywhere. And if it is too loose, then we will become sleepy and lose mental clarity. So we need just the right balance between too tight and too loose. And so that practice, remaining in that state where there's this balance is held and there is no distinction in the mind between the meditation, the object of meditation. That is the view or the practice of one with the highest capacity.
다들 가서 대로 배 차선 강가 만들어 요라. 성지 군대 다외 절보이 스타 송한 지바 탐지 담배 될때 다외 절보레스. 인와 미나 군배 절보이 스타 인와 미나 군배 절보이. 와서 차솔스나 담 시주대 좀 참지 다 쳐야 돼. 요나 차솔치나 줘배 절보이. 그래도 미는 지금 못 쳤다. 그래도 민 지금 못 쳐. 정도 와대. 내가 똑같습니다. 대해서 손한테 지금 못 쳐야. 그리고 연사래.
Tilopa, in the Ganges Mahamudra, transcending dualistic grasping at subject and object is the king of views. Undistractedness, being without distraction, is the king of meditation. Effortless conduct without contrivance is the king of conduct. And being without hope and fear will make the fruition manifest. I think so.
안보 타메케 양타베다와 인스타 레지베 미그리스 메이트베 캐치 못되게 다 메이 나이존 고리스 가서는 가서 네스유즈다 제 총조금 메이 라펜게 안 용거와 메이스르다서 메이트베 캐치 메이요라 메이 가서 네스유즈다 인다만다 제 데비아 안도 총 메이트 때 마다 타타는 시베 지기로 봐면 좀 삽자 메이트 캐치 못되게 와 레지드 나이존 고리스다 레지드 나이존 고리스 我这哪一种呀？这安保他们就把的，他就把的哇。我这安保这，他连这次也不中的，那他安保他们就把抢的哇。他应该做连这次，他做的这个做晨曦花油过去了，他对面这个做晨曦花油，刚突破期间连这种图片骗给的。我真的，就那么看那晨曦花油过给的。 这趟推出的，当然说对方是去相当变相的，但感谢咱们特别咱票啥的，因为意思啦，但这车话就是，但这当车些空的呢也不有的，别吃车完的呢，车些空的呢，过车些话有得冲个的，车些提克的是呢，过去把人把西工呢，车人对把是的做，在用的上得去历史，不老提偏套有的。我在成都的这车些的时候呢，容易开情报，就去年现在正好南巴的上。 我哪怕去年现在他来准备中国的上，我他说的成绩好有去过，就当来准备做这身边苍马中国的，他那他那说去年的12他们去过的意思，来准备韩国的话，先把这种韩国嘛，我韩国的呢，安迪斯搞来韩国有哇，我做韩国的，韩国去年来准备韩国有上，这重要的，我成绩好有去过的，好有多次的方面呢，这边呢是大的特别重视的新天那个，还有多次的我的方面的这边呢是中。 대신 나
Let's go Shinjin Karasungso.
Hayu Dutsine, Hayu Dutsine, Hamin, Chive start to be zones, or the Hayu the Dutsana is Dutsana. Hamin Chive is to be zones. Commission Rojama, give it, give it my land. Hayu Dutsana, they gave out a man on Shan, on controversial Dejum de Zonia. How many they gave out my land? Then do not. Every part of Jiban Duzon, what they Hayu Chigores. What the Chenshi Hayu, and also Kaduna, this sketching was Charlie. 这科学上它上头，可是那它在实际那时候被下阿美人那时候，拆迁的都三个这些罗刹胶囊这都不都上头，现在其他上面嘛都那时候在拆迁工地那拆完以后，可能原来原旅行上面的好友呢，拆迁好友是分学的。我他在科学上表示的，我当上的你嘛的，他平常上学了都摘下都可能上，这俺上班以上呢，咱上那个嘛的，这木头那个都在两两期上面。这样的说的小友偏给的，他这是呢，这其这，我在推这下，他这边两边其他是马起的，其他下的是偏多有的，就说这些好友，这边讲这里国家列强的站在哪个的事情，但是可上班个的有了，这你那他
Kiran kita de.
列强的想那个站在，我他这这些好友，你嘛，我从上班的，上班这两边的去过的，可这嘛进这嘛的上面这个。被下军前东亚中文那里，他说有看这个嘛的山，这军前东亚。
Kara yung non tigo mare.
那军前是军从东亚，后来你嘛到换你们去啊，你嘛到面，后来你们去啊，都恰从这个嘛的，然后这在这些好友都是偏给的，上这下，这些那个都偏多的时候，上头我在这里弄的吧。就像俺别便宜的他了，就你这样子，就当这，
Then number 7, being on guard against the consequences of karmic actions as carefully as you would protect your own eyes is the perfect conduct of the person of less. So guarding cause and effect, like one's own eye. So the eyes, because the eyes our eyes are most precious, most important to us. For example, when something happens, something flies toward our eyes, when something happens, we cover our eyes instantly, instinctively, because we instinctively protect our eyes. So just like that, we have to protect our conduct so that it conforms with karma, cause and effect. And doing that is the conduct of one of the lesser capacity. And in order to be able to do that, one needs to have mindfulness and awareness in all activities. And so that's, for example, one reason why when a monk is wearing robes is helpful, because when we see that, then it also reminds us. It reminds us to be mindful. And so otherwise, maybe if, let's say, you're about to do something unwholesome, and then you see those robes, and that's a reminder that may stop you from doing that. So the robes of a monk, and also if you wear them, they become like your reminder. And especially as Buddhist practitioners, this is the thing that we have to be very mindful of. And of course, every being should follow the law of karma, cause and effect, but they just don't know about it. So if you don't know about it, then it's a little bit difficult, of course. But as Dharma practitioners, we know about that. And so therefore, certainly we have to be mindful and aware of that. In the letter to a friend, it says that mindfulness, conscientiousness is like medicinal nectar, and carelessness, unmindfulness is like your road to death. So that means is that so without mindfulness, without awareness, your virtue just slips away. You lose your virtue, and nothing good will come from that. And mindfulness is like medicine. All virtue grows from that. Virtue increases if you're mindful. And so therefore, it's always important to apply different methods that help us be more mindful. For example, coming back to the wearing of robes, so some people may, especially in America, maybe think that it don't really fit in if you're wearing this robe, so it's considered look a little bit uncomfortable and strange. But that's not a good way to think about it, because it actually helps us to remind us of our mindfulness, of our vows, for example. So it reminds me that this is the vow that I have, and so even though maybe it doesn't really fit in, and it's maybe not very convenient in terms of the country that I'm in, still it helps me. It reminds me of my vows and mindfulness. And also, for example, like I was in retreat, and many other retreatants also think that after you come out of retreat and you've let your hair grow, then you would cut off your cut off those dreads, you cut your hair. But then I personally, for example, decided to leave it on, because if it helps your mindfulness, then that's actually something good. Because, for example, if I have that on my head, then I'm always mindful of my practice. It reminds me of the retreat, and then I will hold my sessions on time. I will keep my discipline in my daily practice. So I will keep the daily practice going on continuously. So if I just cut it off, it's almost like I'm parting ways from the practice. So even though it's true that it may be a little bit inconvenient, a bit troublesome to have all of that here, but on the other hand, it also really supports my mindfulness. And in that way, also daily practice is sustained, and it's most important that we don't skip over daily practice, and whatever it takes for us to continue that, whatever helps with that, is something that we should not abandon. So to me personally, that has helped me.
我真的大体的马上都去他们去闽南汤就嘛，代表就把那安保人去养他为大原因是吧？他去他们去闽南就嘛的，他包过去了。我这多要的是个来看过，然后叫他们去就把呢，我的汤包子意思在多都把那是不是的西南的学啥的，我听着去那这意思是不是的那个做这些去呢？他在闽南就嘛的原因咱们当下就了，他妈的呢，或不是闽南就嘛的多过那多过嘛了，才那路的多的那他多是的哇，我这去他们去闽南就嘛的。多半呢，我的多不样他别多怀疑，他们那边吧，我那这边同了油嘛，你这说了对路边小菜看看，那么呢，我那这边同了油嘛，我那这边同了油嘛，你是哪去了？我那这边都提让他钞票嘛的啊，让他嘛找不多过去的，我这就是这，但讲别我说叫他们这，那他这叫他们这现在这明天。那这个就原来对些，这么没从对这，要都那说忙不见放过来，我这说他们那么就嘛的，因咱们这边没那的呢，这年是的，这年明年要嘛，或者他们就那么就嘛是吧？这查通垃圾的，这是没收那通垃圾，提什么的？那么那么就嘛的，多少个，那收呢，那么就嘛的不是，这那么就嘛的不是，这那么就嘛的谁都有嘛，或东半年的吧？个，那么刚要做。其实都有嘛啦，有嘛生的，有嘛最多的，在一起小子了。第二辈就没机会的，对啦，对啦，就没机会的。第二辈讲就没看不住的，就没机会的。嘛的第二辈嘛放着住的，就没机会。
Lo
就没
pare.
啥叫这里？假如这里就没看见马家的，假如马碰着钱多啊，这讲的他不。就嘛不修追求啥的话，或就嘛看见有哪些，我这追求的这路给当的话，这路给当的这路的马放弃的，这就没去的，的就嘛追求嘛什么事的话，这是当对的呢，但是这路的他是么的，那就嘛看的就把星座的，这个有嘛的那就是那的拉了下，这路被送的话，就没，看来他这些。样的就没机会对吧？样什么钱呢？这块没种，就没机会做的，什么有嘛的，什么这块有嘛的，是种的去对，起码他就嘛干，对了，台北街，我对其他，我他等于那啥的，台北街真的对了去老马车是吧？ Jime jibe si so che, wa jime jibe si so che, simi chen na defa mi, zong ra, sen mi bi defa yo ma le se. A ko zong. Ah,
So, ako so.
我推送我的，我这就嘛做样到一马着吧是吧？样等多对呢，嘛那么的就嘛是样一马着吧是多过来，那等于呢，我做这年是的错，都是什么让一马着的，这桥当嘛从其他这个嘛是吧？
Number 8, acting as though phenomena are like dreams and magical illusions is the perfect conduct of the person of medium capacity. So now realizing all appearance as all phenomena as dreams and illusions is not easy to realize. And we will not just realize it by just understanding that things are like dreams and illusions. So just by getting that, we won't see them that way. But it all depends on our habituating to that, and that again comes back to our mindfulness. If you're always mindful of that, you always remind yourself that everything, all of these appearances, perceptions, it's all an illusion. It's all just like a dream, even if you can't recognize that at the moment. But if you keep being mindful of that, you will realize that eventually. And of course, then when it is realized, then it really doesn't affect you anymore. Tilopa had said that so in the Ganges Mahamut, was it Kankama Songra Tamboti?
韩国蛮什么，当然老是他，就当这种人jime jibe si,
So it's not in there. So just Tilopa said that so like a dream or like an illusion, things do not truly exist. Dreams have no true reality. So we must recognize that that appearances are like dreams and illusions without any true existence. And so now in our daily life, we encounter all kinds of things. We hear all kinds of things, pleasant and unpleasant. We see all kinds of things. We witness all kinds of situations. And at that time, if we remember that all of that is like a dream or like an illusion, then you will not cling to that. You will not grasp at that. And then when there's no grasping, there is no real enemy or friend or sound, things that you hear. There's no real form. There's nothing that you can actually grasp. Everything that appears is like a dream. When you wake up, the dream is gone. It no longer exists. So you will see things just like that. And also there's another story about Tilopa. That was when there was a king who was being attacked by an illusory army. So kind of a magical apparition, a magical illusion of like a war, an army that was attacking him. And so then he called upon Tilopa, and then Tilopa, he killed this whole army. And then the king was he then wondered if that's not like something, a negative karma to slaughter all of it.
就是像我口说的，第六被说呀，他jime去马去的，jime马去马一路马他妈的，jime 不的马，jime
Nuna
不，
Marira,
那
Nuna
那
Mari,
马的 jime
yeah,
jime 看见去马不属于一路在马他，这一路马他们说前去第六个，当时这jime马他妈的对吧？
Yeah, so this and this army, this illusory army was actually conjured up by a magician, so some kind of yeah, I guess that's a magician, and so he used this magical illusion to attack the king. So to the king, however, that army, this seemed to be real, but it was not a real army. It was just like an illusory army. Then, anyways, he called upon Tilopa, and Tilopa killed all of these like army beings, the soldiers in the army. And then the king asked Tilopa, "So is that not really evil karma to slay all of these beings.
람니한테 세례다 주마 코랑 bomboje 요라 이 주마 캔 코랑 주니야제 요라 대초 못
Oh,
mambo
really?
주니야제
Oh,
뭐 mam보제 기대가요
yeah.
말했다 주마 주니야제 요라 세례
Die Tamut Gimoton Kindera.
뭐 전부 주마 동캔 되다 주메
Mm.
마사마지 당도 쇼 대가 말해 추파 말해 주마 동캔 돼
Yeah.
남캐
So actually, the one who said that was the magician. The magician then kind of accused Tilopa of being evil for slaying all these beings. That is really isn't that really evil that you're slaying all of these beings? And so then to that Tilopa responded that there is no evil in slaying an illusion because an illusion doesn't have a mind, and if there is no mind, then there's also no negative karma, no evil in there. And so then after I'm hearing that, you know,
대로 클로마 차르와 되지라
then that magician also then became Tilopa's disciple. So he developed faith and he became his disciple. And so what we must so ultimately realize is that illusions lack any true existence. And so whatever appears is like an illusion. So when you see all appearances like that, then there's also no when you see it as illusion, and you will see no enemies, no friends, and then there's also not really a basis for cultivating attachment, anger, and ignorance.
전에 다들이 마송데 그 강제라야 매초바 암보랍 그냥 다베다바 인수와다 암보랍 줘봐라 강제라 매초베 단콘데 삼시 내로 도네 근데 제바 조지 줘봐 요라 줘봐 되지 삼시 다 제대래 와다테 나데 콘데 냠니 도데 근데 그러와 셀바운드 미 양양 드롭드 미바 좀 삼시 파스이데 연태 도지마 다 내로 그뭐 스토어데 제 오나 와테네 데이터 암보랍 양타비 줘봐 인좀 그러사라 왔었다
Then number 9, being without any conduct whatsoever is the perfect conduct of the person of the high team. So the conduct of one of the highest capacity is to rest single pointedly in the meaning of this equanimity without engaging or rejecting anything in samsara and nirvana. And so this verse teaches that we must kind of realize this equality, and or as one of the highest conduct has realized this equality, meaning that samsara is not something to be abandoned, and nirvana is not something to accomplish. There are no faults to exhaust and no qualities to perfect. So that is the conduct of one with the highest.
와드네 다들이 마한테 와다 당지탕 용몽바 다다 지중시 지게라 소만네 암보 람드린 좀케게 양타베 초타인스 와타세도 다 당지 다지야 다 용몽바 내가 가라도 안삼다 초바 가예제 로야체도 치송 당지체 된로로 그래서 냠네 이 스마송 다
로야 체도 노데
냠네 치레치 다 냠네 치레치 로야야 송도 당지체 친로라도 초바那牛毛子是切多出来哇，但是那路讲的养上班多嘛，操大一般的，我真的这当当俺说去这边给做我这这个说，多少事情对吧？公他牛毛米吧，是那个让俺说后边别解有了，多少事情对吧？公他牛毛米吧，我这个说，但做我这上级就那个上下面用是对那上级点把严重，那下面但都过去了，真他现在就留过去了。什么都有嘛，都有嘛，不这些其实就有那样。现他都过去，什么种呢？这都有。什么都有嘛，托吧，什么种都有，去过是都有，什么都有些呢？鸟么吧，都有样特别难受。都有嘛，不这些其实什么都有嘛，托他们都有钱吧，这都要嘛是。但什么都是，但是样的种呢，等下子鸟么的当地都其中都做的，那对，俺不样特别大把的是。别讲到像，但我说那站在这种那，他那在都做了，但当地这样巧克力， 나서 또 이제 냠냠가 돼 있지 야처비ano 그마 돼 신경만 맞아 신경만 단가 또 나도 저리대 여러 가지 처바티 맞았어 소소소 냠냠 친티가偏好不了我的牛毛吧那这样的应该嘛的穷松我在的应该嘛当然냠냠 친데的牛毛的穷松就这么被其他人那其他穷松其他是第四上的这냠냠个做来这个我曾经在系统的这样不然没怎么给出他的意思出他是냠냠级别大的那是大吧也大的是 이 양탑의 기초주의 있다 양탑의 기초주의 있다 드링크라스 하잖아.
Number 10, signs of progress for people of all three capacities are that ego clinging and all disturbing emotions consistently decrease and subside. So, so a sign of practice for any practitioner of any kind of level is a decrease of grasping and afflictive emotion. So sometimes what we do observe is that some Dharma practitioners start really well, but as they grow older and older, their afflictions then suddenly begin to increase and they become more selfish and more self-grasping. That is a sign that they have not truly entered that natural state, or have not truly that have entered the state of the natural state of the mind. So it is said that sign of hearing, meaning the learning of the Dharma, understand, and a sign of understanding the Dharma is a calm and a peaceful behavior, conduct. And a sign of practice, of meditation, is an absence of afflictive emotions. So that of afflictive emotions, that's the actual the conduct of any practitioner, a sign of so the point is that we have to tame our own mind. The Buddha himself had said that completely tame your own mind. This is the Buddha's teachings. And in the Bodhicharya Avatara, it says that we may speak about various austerities or these different kinds of discipline, yet the best discipline is the discipline of just taming one's own mind. That is the authentic, the true and authentic view. And now we can see ourselves how we progress with that and how we react to things. For example, if you're sick, now in the in the past, you may have had a stronger reaction to that, but now, as a result of practice, you're grasping less, and the feeling is not so strong anymore. So, because you have practiced somewhat, then now you can take it lighter, and you can get yourself out of that state and into a state of practice. There will be less afflictive emotions than before. For example, anger. If you had a lot of anger before, now the anger may still arise, but you can easier come back to your practice. You can just quickly go back to your practice and not let it linger around there. That's a sign of practice. And so just as the outer sickness heals, when the inner sickness of self-grasping and the afflictive emotions gets lesser, then that is the kind of collective common sign of all three capacities, the lesser, the middling, and the higher.
我他ten三七，呀，OK，dedication 几个中共的 dedication。Yeah, okay, English.
Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root, and lineage lamas, divine assemblies of yadams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heroes, and heroines, yogini and assembly of dakinis dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all sentient beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise within my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities, equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. Even at death, may the torment of suffering not arise. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such, and in the pervasive clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
Yeah, okay, thank you. See you next week.
Next week.
Yeah, this is what demand you homes. Yeah, okay.
Next week.
Yeah, thank you. I now Arizona.
Mm.
Gotcha, Sandra.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Good night.
Thank you, Jupana.
Thank you.